Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. Joining me today is Morgan.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
So we're coming up on phase 4 of the Map of the Soul comeback, and it was just announced that Jimmy Fallon was going to have a show that's dedicated to BTS on the 24th, and he was on Twitter trying to create a hashtag to get questions to ask BTS, and I feel like usually these kinds of things result in the same questions that they always get asked. Things like, who do you want to collaborate with? And what is the new album going to be like? Or
boring questions is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like,
boring questions.
What do you want to say to ARMY?
Right.
It's like, it's always the same questions in
Right.
these interviews. And I mean, I know they're trying to get different kinds of questions, but they never use them. So that's what's kind of funny about this whole thing. And this thing was probably already taped by now, so it's like kind of pointless to even participate in that.
Right.
But what that got me thinking, it's like, what kind of questions would we want to ask that is like would never be asked and they would never answer?
Right.
Because it's like there's things that we really want to know that aren't like the usual questions.
Right. They would not answer certain questions clearly.
Yeah, like there's so many things that ARMY has questioned. It's like I'm sure they'd want to know like what everybody's sexuality really is, even though I don't really question anybody.
Whoa, wait.
Not
Is
being
that what people
straight.
are wanting to know?
Well, I think some people have their thoughts, and it's like they may not ask that as a question, but they think something already, and it's like there's not really evidence of that.
I don't have my thoughts regarding this at all. I assume every single member is heterosexual.
I assume that too.
I know that it is possible that that's not the case, but statistically speaking, right, there's 7 members. If you were to take any 7 random males as a sample on Earth, more likely than not, they're all heterosexual, right?
Right. Like,
I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe the common wisdom where we're at right now, which, by the way, I don't agree with, but let's say that the common wisdom right now is that you take a random sample of 7 males and I don't know, half of them are homosexual. What? That would be like saying half of the people are No. If you take any random sampling of 7 males, probably they're all straight.
and I thought
That's
in
all I'm
the
saying.
population,
Less than 5%.
yeah, I was like 3 to 10. I've been hearing that kind of stat, like anywhere in that area.
Closer to 3, I'm thinking.
Right.
Why would it be 10?
That's probably an optimistic number.
No, well, I won't say optimistic or pessimistic, because that would imply like you have an agenda one way or another. I don't think it's accurate, right? Is 10% of the population homosexual? I don't think so.
But that's a question. If we were to ask, at least we would get an answer to yes or no. They
Okay.
wouldn't answer it, but I know a lot of people have their thoughts one way or the other, and this would be something that...
And especially since so many fans ship them together.
Yes, there's so much like fanfic and all this stuff, and
right.
it's like, is that even warranted? Or I mean, it's like warranted. It's like whatever you think is whatever. But it's like if no one's even gay, then that doesn't make sense.
Right. Let's say it's just not. It's not likely.
I feel like at most one, but
Yes, at most one.
I honestly think none of them are anything other than heterosexual.
I don't even want to speculate because number 1, it doesn't matter to me, and number 2, it just feels, I don't know, it just feels kind of, why are we speculating about their sexual, Let's just assume nothing. Just assume nothing, right?
We're speculating because we don't know, because no one ever asked the question, and they wouldn't answer honestly anyway,
Right.
if it was something other than just, oh, I'm straight.
Right.
So it's,
if this was
because
like a
it's something
question,
we don't know for sure.
Yeah. If you were gonna ask an hashtag, I guess.
Yeah, but it's
If
like
you're curious.
Jimmy Fallon creating a hashtag to ask questions. Like, you're not going to ask the questions that people want to know the answers to.
I agree. This is probably something people want to know the answer to, even though I don't think it's like particularly relevant or they necessarily have the right to know these things. But people are curious, I'm sure. Yeah, they want to know. Hey, are there any gay members?
Yeah, and it's like maybe like they purposely don't clear that up because they want people to think either or.
Yeah, maybe, because there is a segment of the fandom that likes shipping people and they just want to leave it ambiguous to let them have their fun.
Yeah, let their imaginations wander.
Yeah, perhaps.
But yeah, the other kinds of questions is like that people would really want to know is like, okay, who have you hooked up with? Like which celebrities? And it's
Oh,
like,
but that would ruin it because then you'd know who's not gay, right? I don't know why people are so invested in them being gay. Why do you want them to be gay? I don't understand. Well, that's a question to ask people.
yeah, I mean, you see that a lot, but I don't know the answer.
Right.
I'm
There's
not,
even I'm not saying that I seek out this sort of thing, but I have been exposed to this kind of thing, not by my choice, just like randomly. But I know there is fan fiction that makes them have gay relationships.
mm-hmm.
There's that kind of thing, right?
Well, more of it is like the members shipped together rather than the subject, the YN, with one of the members. So you see more of that. I don't know why
What
that
do you
is.
mean the YN? What?
Like the person who's the fan.
Oh, no, yeah, it's the
Like,
members together.
yeah, more of it is the members
But
together.
that's still, you're purporting that they have homosexual relations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like, I wish I could explain that psychologically, but I don't know. That's what people like, and that's what they see. I don't know.
That's what some people like.
Segment of the fans
Yeah.
want to see.
Right. Some people like that. Why? Hey, I don't know. Maybe some of you who like it can explain it to us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so
Yeah. I mean, I don't do it. I don't do that with my favorites. I don't imagine them having gay relationships.
yeah, like we're talking about.
I don't care about the relationships at all.
I mean, you
in
like
fact.
the Backstreet Boys. No one ever says, "Hey, I hope these two members of the Backstreet Boys hooked up."
exactly.
Like, no one ever says that.
Right. Yeah. No one ever says, yeah, imagine if these two members had a gay. That's weird. Kind of. But it's more common in K-pop.
Yeah, I do see that a lot, and it's like the male groups and the girl groups is like the same thing. It's like everybody thinks everybody's hooking up within the group, which I don't know why that is.
I saw a YouTube video today. I won't mention who, but a very popular YouTuber. And the question was brought about, which member of Twice was gay? And the person said, if I had to bet, I would bet at least one is gay. And I'm thinking, hold on. There's 9 members. If we accept that 5% or less of the population is gay, right? And there's 9 members. Why would you almost be certain that one is gay? That doesn't follow the trend, right?
Right.
Because if only less than 5% of the population is gay, then why would you be almost certain that one person out of 9, because that's greater than 5%, right?
Yeah.
You're basically saying, I'm almost sure that one person out of 9 would be gay. Why? I would almost be certain that that's not the case. Now, if you said 1 person out of 100, oh yes, then I would agree with you. Because if you brought 100 random people, and if 5% of the population is gay, I would agree with you that, yeah, probably at least 1 person out of that 100 random people would be gay. Now, if it was the case, would I be upset? No, I'm not saying it was like I'd be angry or anything, but there's this tendency, I think, to overblow it based on what we experience in Western media. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
You know, people are just so eager to just say, oh, there's this percentage of LGBT people. No, it's not that high.
I know it's not 10%
Yeah, it's really
of
not that
people
high. It's just
that I know.
Your impression of it, I think, really outstrips the reality of it. There's not that many. You seem to think like in any peer group, in any group of people, there's got to be at least one person that's LGBT. No, that's not true.
Like
that's not true.
A token gay person.
If I gathered 9 random people, I bet you the chances are all of them are straight. If I gathered 100 people, yeah, somebody is gay.
Yeah, 100, but
But not 9.
Out of 9,
yeah,
or out of 7, it's
Right.
like I feel like there's 0.
chances are there's 0. Chances are.
Especially coming from Korea, which is very traditional.
Yeah.
Like even if someone thought, "Oh, maybe I'm gay," like they would just like
Yeah, exactly.
not act on it.
Precisely. So, yeah, that's what I think about that.
So that's probably a question that would be asked if we could get a real answer to, but we wouldn't ask it.
Are we talking about like the questions that we would ask them if we could ask them anything?
Yeah, and if they could answer it, which they wouldn't, but it's like, which celebrities have you hooked up with? Which blind items are true? Like,
Which celebrities?
what's
Yeah,
real?
which celebrities have you hooked up with? Well, one thing that I would ask BTS is, do they envision, like, if they could choose, let's say there's two scenarios that they could choose. One is a scenario that's like a typical K-pop, where the group disbands after a certain amount of years, right? And they sort of do solo things, and they can explore solo things. That's more typical to K-pop. That's the life cycle of a K-pop group. Or let's look at the Rolling Stones. They are like 70 plus years old. They have been together for how long now? 50 years?
Mm-hmm.
They're still the Rolling Stones, though. They still tour together. Everybody still knows who they are. They're still a thing. I don't know if they produce new music, but would they prefer to be that? Would they prefer to just be BTS until into their 70s? Or at some point do they feel like, I want to do my own thing? You know? I want to do my own thing artistically or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like for whatever reasons. Like which thing are you more tied to? Right? And you have to choose one. You can't have both. Like if you could choose only one, which one would you choose? I think that's an interesting question. Because most K-pop groups they have to die at a certain point. But there's nothing that says that they have to, right? Look at Super Junior. Super Junior is still Super Junior.
Mm-hmm.
They're well past the 7-year thing. They are old according to K-pop standards, right? Look at Backstreet Boys. They're old according to like almost any standard. They're still Backstreet Boys. They're still touring. They're still making money. Do they want that in their future? Or do they want to sort of break free at some point and do creatively their own thing?
I don't think they even know, because if you ask all 7 of them right now, they'd be like, no, we want to stay as BTS. Like, they're just
that's the company answer.
Yeah, they want to say that answer.
But inside, what is the real answer is what I'm wondering.
But it's like they're not going to think about when they're 40 or when they're 50 or whatever.
Right. But it's an interesting question because this is what's in their future.
Yeah, so if Jimmy Fallon was going to ask the real questions, we'd want to know who's gay and what celebrities did they hook up with. Also, which K-pop celebrities? Because there's rumors here and there, and it's like, oh, is that a rumor?
That they hooked up with?
Is that a fake rumor?
Yeah, of course people would want to know these things. That's always what they would want to know.
Mm-hmm. We want to know what happened with Jimin in Paris. Was that real?
Well,
I also want to know what celebrities, American celebrities, they met that were like rude or were like not what they expected. Like I would want to hear like what's the real story, like because I'm sure they met some people like backstage and stuff, and probably some people were rude and were like, oh, who are these Asian guys? And some were like, not cool. I'm sure they would never say, but that's a question I'd want to know. And yeah, like you said, like what is their plans long term? That's something I'd want to know. When do they think BTS will end?
Right.
I mean, maybe they don't even know, but it's like, when do you think? But it seems like with K-pop, you can do solo things and then go back to your group. It's like it seems like that's okay with everybody.
Know. It's hard to say. Maybe it's like unbroken ground, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the longest running K-pop itself isn't even that old. It's not even that old itself. The oldest example we have is Super Junior. And even those guys, they're like 35. That's nothing. That's really nothing. Sure, they've been around for 17 years, actually.
Well, it seems like the ones who wanted to leave music, they left. So but then the group has so many people that they still have enough to
There's
keep
just so many damn people
being a group.
Right. But you get what I'm saying. It's a new thing, K-pop. If a music group has a following, it can go on indefinitely. The Rolling Stones are like, didn't they just announce that they're going to tour again? How are they even going to physically do that?
I don't know how they have the energy.
Anyway, people still buy their tickets.
Well, I don't know how people run for president in their 70s either, or the 80s.
I mean,
it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, so maybe, who knows what the future is for BTS. If they want to just stay together, perhaps they could until they're in their 70s. But do they even want that? Maybe they're eager for the day where they can do their own solo things, right? Who says they're not? Maybe they want to do that. Maybe some people want to just not do music. Maybe some people want to go to acting. Who knows? Et cetera, et cetera.
I feel like it'll end when people get in serious relationships. Like they're like, oh, I want to get married, and then maybe more than one thinks that.
I mean, but why though? Because like the Stones got. Oh, did they all get married? I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't have to end it. It just seems like in K-pop, oh, that's gonna end your career
true.
as a
True.
huge act, but it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to. Maybe like those cultural standards would change, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it should, but like the Korean netizens, they're harsh on anybody who's like, oh, I'm getting married now. By the way,
Right.
They turn on those people.
You're getting married, you can't work. What a weird thing to think.
Yeah, it's like, what? How does that prevent you from singing? I mean, they can sing indefinitely.
Yeah, like what?
Anybody can sing.
Well, they're so large and like their following is so international, and we know that international fans don't think that same way. Like, what international fan thinks, oh, you can't get married? Very few, right?
Yeah, in fact, like Justin Bieber just got married, so it's like he's doing fine. He has an album and he's gonna tour. I mean, I'm not gonna speak to his like health or anything, but it's like
Yeah,
it didn't
international fans
prevent
don't care
him
about
from
that. Yeah.
anything.
International
He
fans don't care about that.
continued on with his career just fine.
I just feel like BTS will be able to, if they want, they could continue this for a while. But who knows if they want that?
I think they're not looking that far ahead. They're just going along with it, and they want to do it as long as possible as a group. They seem very unified.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I mean, I guess we'll see when someone gets in a serious relationship what happens there. It's like, is that person gonna think, oh, I have to bow out, or will they try to like, hey, let's change how people see married K-pop stars? Like, I can still be in a group and be married at the same time and keep doing it. Because if anyone's gonna change how they think, the fans think, when they're being negative towards the ones that want to get married, does like BTS will be the ones that change it.
I bet you one of them is in a serious relationship right now.
I mean, it's like about to propose kind of serious, like about to get married serious.
Oh.
And I don't think if it's a girl group, like if someone in a girl group was like, I want to get married now, I don't think that is going to change the industry. That would not be groundbreaking. Like whatever would happen normally is what would happen. You know what I mean? It has to be like a male group that's like, I'm going to change things.
Male groups are more popular, so it would have more impact. It would follow.
Well, they have more impact, but I think people look at, in Korean society, it's like more of a patriarchy. So it's like whatever the males want to change, that's what's going to change. But if like a woman wants to do something differently, I don't think it would really change anything. Like if someone in Twice was like, I'm getting married now, I feel like she would just, I'm leaving the group. Like that would be her next thing to say.
Oh,
you know?
If she left the group, well, you can always leave the group, yeah.
I don't feel like someone in Twice would be like, I'm going to be the trailblazer for like the married woman K-pop star. Like I feel like that wouldn't happen. Like they would just try to like follow along with what everybody expects.
Probably not, yeah. Is there a married K-pop star? No.
Right? Not that I...
No, not really. It's all new ground.
Not that I know
It's such a new
of.
industry, period. Like only old people, and like when I say old, I mean like 35, are super junior, right? And they're all breaking new ground right now, and they're meeting some resistance. In fact,
yeah, it's like Lee Took can't even like message women on Instagram.
So,
it's like, geez.
I don't know. At some point, I think people will just get used to it. You know, people can get married, they can have kids, they can have lives, and still be like Backstreet Boys. They have lives.
I feel like all or maybe all but one are married too. And
yeah, but nobody said anything about. Of course you can have a kid. Of course you can have your own life. I just think that eventually K-pop's going to be headed in that direction. So you have nothing to worry about. Right now there's a few crazy people, but the vast majority of people I think are reasonable, and they accept that K-pop celebrities can have their own lives, do their own thing, still go to work, and that's all there is to it. So I think it's going to change very, very quickly. So there's nothing to worry about in that front.
Probably just needs one major case to change how society goes with that.
Yeah, and I don't even want to say society is that against them.
Yeah, but it just takes like one person to set an example.
Right. Like every single time one of these things happen and people say there's quote-unquote controversy, it does feel like it's just some crazy minority. Is it really a majority of people that I mean, I'm not familiar with Korean culture, but is it most people that feels things like, oh, so and so can't get married. Why? I don't know. I have a hard time believing that a majority of the population thinks things like that. I just tend to think that a majority of the population doesn't care, first of all. Right?
Yeah, it's like all they have to do is just not listen to that group's music.
I just really think the majority of the population doesn't care. You know? And the people who are the most vocal are just a small minority of people. Do they exist? Yes. Sure. But how much do they matter economically? Not much. How many of you are just stop listening to so-and-so EXO to Super Junior because they are dating or something like that? Let's look at their album sales tomorrow versus 1 month ago. I bet you anything, it doesn't even have an impact, right? So it's just a loud minority.
I don't think it even mattered to anybody in America.
No, people in America aren't even aware of it. Of course, they wouldn't care about it if they were aware. So I just think it's a loud minority. And as soon as companies just realize it is a loud minority and really just stop caring about them, this will change. There will be no dating bans. It's not going to matter anymore, right?
Well, I was seeing somewhere that JYP's dating ban was 3 years. I was like, okay, I didn't know it was only 3 years, or it was
only.
Well, I didn't know there was like some set amount of time.
It was 3 years, yes.
And then, so if that's the case, then people should have expected, like, okay, someone's going to start dating on this date, you know, or announce it, or
right. And they should.
But I mean, I'm sure JYP isn't trying to publicize, like, here's the date that that ban ends, by the way.
Almost every single JYP act is past the dating ban, right? Except for Stray Kids and ITZY. They're all past the dating ban. They can date according to the rules of the company. Now, I bet you anything, even when it was against the rules. Come on. Young people, they're going to want to find a way to date each other. You know, life finds a way. They're going to want to try to get together.
Well, and as artists are more in the West, I feel like they're going to absorb more of the Western ideas of, like, independence. And it's like, oh, I should be able to date whoever I want to date. And all these.
Well, I don't know if they'll absorb our ideas, but as the market grows, the companies won't feel as beholden to some of these ultra dedicated fans. They're not as economically beholden to them, right? They have a model that's closer to a Western model where you just want a wide fan base as opposed to a narrow, dedicated fan base. I think that's good. I think that's in the future of K-pop. And hopefully dating bans go away because you know they're dating. We've been through this before. They are dating. Anybody over the age of 18 is definitely dating. Come on. If you're listening to this and you're over the age of 18, do you date people? If your workplace told you not to date people, would you not date people? Just ask yourself that. No, you would definitely date people. Your impulse to date people would definitely be stronger than whatever your company told you, right?
Well, we have heard, like, they have such full schedules that there isn't even time. So I think that's possible, like, without even banning it. It's just like they're just so busy.
Well, as they say in Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
Yeah,
right?
and then maybe at most it'll be like texting and like sending pictures and stuff like that.
Sure. Life finds a way.
I don't know if they have time to, like, oh, let's go to a bar and meet up and do this and that and go to a hotel room.
No, they don't go to a
something.
bar or whatever. But, you know, you've seen those, like, TV specials or whatever. They go to, like a parking lot or something and they meet up together. I don't know. They find ways. Come on, young people who are sexually attracted to each other, they will find ways. We've all been those people, and we all know that when you're in those shoes, what is your priority? It's not anything else. It's definitely your sexual attraction to other young people. That is definitely your priority as a young person.
Here's a question I would send to Jimmy Fallon that he won't ask. It's like, what secrets have you kept from Bang PD?
Yeah, that's a good
members,
question.
Like, what have you not told him?
That's a good question.
There's some things, I'm sure.
Right. There are some things. Yep, for sure.
They probably had some, like, crazy, like, nights, adventures, stuff like that. That's like Bang PD has no idea about. That maybe he thinks he knows everything, but he really doesn't.
I don't even think he knows everything. He accepts that he doesn't know some things, I'm sure. But yeah, they probably had some crazy stuff going on. I know people don't want to hear that, but yeah, they probably have had some crazy, crazy stuff.
And then I would want to also ask, but they may not even know, but what is the plan right now for enlistment? It's like, are you guys going or not going, or
Yeah, that is a good question.
one at a time, or
Right.
all together? They may not even know, but that's a question I would want to ask.
Right.
But anyway, I'm sure Jimmy Fallon will just ask, like, what do you
He's
think?
going to ask the basic questions.
The same questions,
yeah.
like, what do you think about ARMY? Like, how do you like the new album? Like, who do you
Right.
want to collaborate with?
True.
The same things. Do you, as a K-pop fan, like to watch reaction channels on YouTube?
I do not. Well, there's one that I do like to watch, and this is the Joey Nato. I think that's his name, Joey Nato. So he's like a music producer, and he happened upon K-pop reaction. And here's what I think happened. Basically, he wasn't like a big fan of K-pop or anything like that, but one day he did a K-pop reaction video and it got a lot of views, and now he's really into it, right? Which is that's fine. But I watch him because he has like a lot of, he's a music producer, so he has good insight. So I watch him. But I tend not to watch reaction videos in general because they really don't add much. They just say how much they love the thing that they're watching.
Yeah, I bring this up because I notice a lot of reaction channels exist now, and like that's a very easy thing to create content for, because it's like all you have to do is just watch a video and react to it. And I just feel like it seems really popular for reacting to K-pop videos.
Right.
And I think, is that because, K-pop fans are a big audience, and so like that's why they're reacting to K-pop?
I think what it is K-pop fans, reaction videos are very popular, and I even experienced some of this. I can sense some of this in myself. If you're part of a subculture and you witness another person who's you clearly identify as not part of your subculture, it really helps if it's obvious they're not part of your subculture, right? But then they watch your thing and they say, hey, this is a cool thing, I like this thing. It validates the thing that you like. You can point at that and say, see, regular people like it, so-and-so likes it, so-and-so likes it, and it really feels good that other people that are not part of your subculture validate your subculture. They say it's a good thing, blah, blah, blah. I agree, and I think that's normal. You want whatever you like, you want to have a sense that other people like the same thing, and that validates your choice, right? It's not a subculture so much.
Yeah.
And reaction videos sort of do that. And the most successful reaction videos are reaction videos where it's just another person that's exactly like you. They look like you, they sound like you, they're the same race, etc. They're not as popular. The ones that are most popular, I feel like, are people who are outside of whatever demographic you're in, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're an Asian male. If you watch a reaction video where it's like a black male, you'll think, oh, wow, cool. There's like a wide variety of people who like the thing that I like, and that really validates that. I think that's what reaction videos are. They don't offer any insight, obviously. It's usually just people saying, this is awesome. Well, if you are watching a movie review, why do you watch a movie review? You watch a movie review to figure out, should I watch this movie?
Yeah, and you want to hear like real criticism or real
right, because you're still deciding
it.
whether I want to watch this movie or not. When you're watching a reaction video to a video or MV, you're not trying to decide whether or not you're going to watch that MV or whether or not you like it. You've already made up your mind whether you watched it and whether you like it, right? So what purpose does it have for you to watch somebody else's reaction? You just want to validate your choice.
Yeah, I do remember when I first got into K-pop, I watched a lot more of them, and maybe that's why. It's because I was like, okay, I really want to see what other people think about this music that I'm just getting into.
But what you actually wanted to see was they thought the same thing as you.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Did you watch many videos where they said, I hate it? They don't even exist, probably, right? But you wouldn't be interested in that sort of video. You just want to see videos that validate your point of view.
Well, and the best ones are the ones where people have a lot of personality or over-the-top reaction, or they're funny. And then the problem with that is that might not be genuine. They might be just like acting.
That's true.
So
They might just be
it's like
acting.
you don't know because they know that's what gets more views. It's like
That's right.
I'm gonna act really excited, or I'm gonna act crazy and like fall off my chair because
Right.
of this K-pop video.
That's true. That's true. They might just be acting.
So yeah, I don't even know anymore. But I mean, I watch them every once in a while if it's a big video that came out.
Well,
I just want to
I don't
see
even watch
what
reaction
people think.
videos, so it doesn't affect me. But I understand why people like them, though.
According to a new article in Forbes, tickets for the new BTS World Tour, which includes us because we got tickets.
Correct.
These tickets are selling in record quantities in the first 3 days, beating sales for other pop artists such as Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift. And
Amazing.
yeah, according to StubHub, it's like twice as many tickets sold for BTS as the entirety of the Super Bowl.
Well,
That's not going to have like a lot of resale on Super Bowl tickets.
I mean, if that was the case broadly, I regret not buying more tickets to resell. But in my experience, it's not true across the board. Demand was definitely strong for some cities and soft for others. But I did feel it was, maybe overall, it was stronger than demand for Taylor Swift tickets, which is amazing because the demand for those tickets was very, very strong.
Yeah. It says in the first 72 hours, it was like 560% growth for BTS versus Ariana Grande's Sweetener tour, which is 378% growth, and Taylor Swift's tour, which is 258% increase.
Well, I mean, are all these figures from StubHub? Are all these figures from StubHub?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so anecdotally, I can tell you that all the extra tickets that I bought, because as you know, I tried to buy what I was allotted and resold, and I resold a lot of them already. It's almost paid for the tickets that we're going to actually keep. So if that gives you any indication, the demand has been super high. Very, very good demand. Very, very robust. For every city, I don't know because I didn't buy tickets for every city. But for the major cities, yes, for sure. The demand has just been very, very strong. And it just goes to show just how far they have come. I mean, this is a foreign group that is selling better than like a Taylor Swift.
Yeah. And you know what's notable is like they're comparing BTS to Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift when Ariana Grande has that tour had a lot of cities in it, and she plays arenas, so it's like if they have more demand for their stadium tour, like that's really a even bigger difference.
I mean, they probably have sold more tickets. Just think about it. Stadium tour, especially if you do it back-to-back. If you do a back-to-back in a place that seats 70,000, I don't think Ariana Grande did any stadiums, right? So all of her places seated 25,000, all of them. And I don't think she did any back-to-backs. So every single location, she just like 25,000, right?
Right.
Because these are where basketball teams play. Basketball teams, it's 19,000 to 25, which is the high end. And I don't even think that 25 is realistic. I think really it's like 19 to 21 probably, right? Because they're all roughly the same size. So she's playing in those types of arenas. BTS is selling 65K.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit less, maybe like 50 because they close off some of the stadium for some of them, right? Some of them I saw like MetLife, they were selling the whole stadium.
Like all the way around, even like the bad viewpoints.
Yes, and that's like 70K. And they play Friday, Saturday. That's 140,000. What would Ariana Grande have to do to sell 140,000 tickets? She would have to play 7 dates, right? That's like 7 weeks of her tour, where BTS got that same amount of tickets in a weekend. That's the difference between playing stadiums and playing arenas.
Yeah, but everyone here considers Ariana Grande, she's an A-list artist.
She is an A-list artist. I'm not arguing with that.
But they may not think of BTS that way. They're like, oh, who's that? They're like, oh,
yeah,
but
K-pop. Their ability to sell these tickets is amazing. The demand is sky high. I can even reference it to, because we bought tickets for the last tour, right? So I know what the demand for that was like. This is a totally different animal. It's like Taylor Swift plus something.
And
So,
these numbers were comparing to Taylor Swift's Lover Tour, which it had very limited dates, but
yeah.
still BTS had more demand
Right.
than that, even though they had a lot more dates.
Right.
So that's like even a bigger difference.
Right.
Because Taylor Swift, didn't she only have like 4 dates total? Something like that?
For the love, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like 2 in LA and then 2 in the East Coast.
Well, I should know. I bought for all of them.
Yeah. But it's like even BTS with their tour in many
Right.
cities had more demand. So that's
I
pretty
bought tickets for all of them.
impressive.
Can't wait. It'll be the first time they open SoFi Stadium. We'll be there. Which makes me wonder, why couldn't BTS play SoFi? I guess it's just scheduling. They had to play Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I guess it's not ready yet. If it's
no, isn't it? Maybe it's not.
You're football. Does anyone play there yet?
Well, I mean, our Taylor Swift concert is there.
Well, that's all the way in August, though.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it's just a couple months away, right? Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. But SoFi is a very modern, very cool stadium. It's where the Rams are going to play. And the Chargers. Anyway, that Taylor Swift's concert is going to be there. We're going to see it.
Oh, and another comment I saw from a K-pop fan of another group was like, "Oh, I'm so glad that my group chooses to perform in arenas instead of stadiums."
Why?
Because it's more intimate with the fans.
It's not that intimate. It's still it's still a gigantic
No, but
area.
it's like no one wants to play at a smaller place if they have the choice.
No.
No one's choosing that
They make
for
more money at a larger arena.
They're not saying, "Oh, I'm choosing arenas for the fan experience."
Yeah, they're not doing that.
It's like
they would choose a stadium if they could.
Yeah.
There's very few people who can choose it.
If you want to play a stadium, they will. If you can, any artist would do that.
It's basically asking artists, do you want to make more money or less money? Who's going to say less? Nobody.
Yeah, it's like nobody wants to work more to make
Right.
The same or less money. You know,
They can play a stadium, and basically it's equivalent of playing 3 dates at an arena.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to do that?
Like no one would choose that. It's like every artist is
Right.
trying to play the biggest place possible.
Right. They're trying to make the most money for the least work. Sorry, that's just the case. And if you're doing stadiums, then that's what you're doing.
And it's like the only times an artist is going to do like a really small place is if someone just paid a lot of money. Like if you're a tech company and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to have Lady Gaga play at
Right.
our company party,"
True.
or whatever. It's like, we're going to just give her $1 million or whatever
Right.
it is. And that's the only way you're going to get
True.
an A-list artist in like
Or
a small...
sometimes like in Vegas.
The residencies, yeah.
Yeah, the residencies, like all the tickets would be so expensive.
Sometimes they like... It's like sometimes Vegas hotels don't spend their money wisely. They overpay for artists.
Right, they overpay
and so
for
then they
artists.
have to like charge a lot for
Yeah.
tickets.
I remember, what was it? There were 2 things that I remember. And we've been to Vegas a lot. There are 2 events. They're just so astronomically expensive. Garth Brooks and Beyonce. They both played in Vegas like once. No. Garth Brooks had like a semi-residency. But then the thing about Garth Brooks, it was a good show, actually. I think that I actually would like it, even though I'm not a Garth Brooks fan. But it was kind of it was a small theater, right? But then the thing is, you have to pay so much to get in there. It was like, the low point was $500. Can you imagine? Cheapest ticket is $500. What's the most expensive ticket, right? So I almost think it was worth it, actually. Because from what I heard, it was a very low-key, it was tailored to the people who were there. I don't know. I just feel like...
Well, I would like that as a fan if there
Yeah.
weren't that many people around.
Right.
You know?
And he just sort of did what you wanted. It was just it was very
You can
tailored.
really see them.
Yeah, it was tailored to the people who are there. And I'm like, wow, that's... Yeah, but you have to pay $500 to $2,000 to get in there, so...
These were both at the Wynn, I think, right?
Yes. And the Beyonce, I don't remember. That might not have been that expensive. I mean, it was a while ago. So for us to consider what we consider expensive, you have to understand, as you get older in life, what you consider expensive is not necessarily what you consider expensive later on. Well, this is too much. And then 5 years later, you just don't think that's too much. But at the time, I remember thinking, it's like, wow, this is just way too much. But back to BTS. Basically, this is where they're at now. They are a gigantic act, and they have this much pull. It is just indicative of where they are at.
Good for them. This tour already looks very successful, just with the ticket sales.
It's definitely already a success. Serious? It is already a success, a raging success. They are going to make a lot of money. It's a good segue into their net worth.
So that brings me to the next story, which is talking about BTS is now the highest paid boy band in the world. It says that they're the highest paid Korean group in 2019, according to Forbes, after they earned $57 million in pre-tax income in 2019.
Just this year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And as far as individual net worth, it looks like J-Hope has the biggest net worth of $12 million, according to one source, and then the rest of them are $8 million each.
Okay.
The reason J-Hope is ahead of the others is like he has his solo album Hope World, which must have brought in more money than the others from their
makes sense
portions from the group.
Right.
But that's good, and it sounds like, well, they're doing well. But at the same time, it's like you look at the net worth of American artists, and it's like, why is BTS not getting more like those numbers?
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost unfair. Like, I don't know how that's divided in Big Hit or how
Nor
that works.
do I. Well, which artists are you comparing them to?
Well, I think it's fair to compare them to a group that's similar. So, like One Direction, like we have stats on what their net worth is, even though they're not a group anymore. This is kind of what they're a similar demographic.
Yeah.
And, okay, out of all of them, to summarize, Harry Styles, who's the most well-known and successful out of all of One Direction, he has a net worth of $75 million, and then the next two down make $70 million, and then after that, it's like 65 and then 60.
So basically, they all have a net worth that is the same as BTS combined.
Right. So I don't know how that worked out. Did they make more money, or does their record label didn't take away as much, or?
It's hard to say. It is hard to say. First of all, these are all estimates, all these net worth things, right?
Yeah.
But it's probably not too far off. Now, One Direction is a little bit older than BTS. That's true too. Like when I was doing research for this topic, I said, well, how much is Katy Perry worth? How much is Taylor Swift worth? By the way, they're both worth over $300 million. But that's not a fair comparison necessarily because they're both older. They've been more established for a longer time. So it would make sense that they have more earnings, right? But a fairer comparison would be One Direction. Because they're not that... Are they that much more established than BTS? A little bit, right? A little bit. But they're worth a lot more. Why that is, I'm not sure. Is it just because they always existed in a market that's more lucrative? Probably. I'm not sure what it is. Were they able to monetize things outside of their music? Maybe. But then it doesn't seem like that would be the case because they all seem to be roughly around the same, right? So It kind of seems like whatever money they made was from One Direction. Do they have more favorable contracts? Could be. Could be that the Western contracts are more favorable to the artist. Could be. It's hard to say. Now, do we have to feel sorry for BTS? No, they're not poor, obviously. But it does feel like relative to other artists of similar quality, they're a bit underpaid. A lot underpaid.
Yeah.
That's that. They just feel like they're underpaid to me.
For how much money they bring in, it seems like they should be getting more individually.
I feel like Big Hit is pocketing more of it, you know?
But when they renewed their contracts, they had their own outside lawyers look at it, and I don't know if they thought the terms were okay, but
maybe these terms are just okay in a Korean sense.
Yeah, maybe they weren't thinking like we need to be like even more greedy, or
maybe
we need a bigger piece of this.
They weren't thinking like Western artists, you know?
They're probably thinking of fairness. Like, well, Bang PD, he puts in all this work and all these other people.
Well, maybe it's just like the standard in Korea. It's just different. right?
Yeah.
It could be just different. And I'm not here to say that that's like a travesty or whatever, because, the company does deserve to make money. It's not like they don't deserve to make any money. They took a lot of risk, right? They invested in BTS and any music act. They deserve to profit when it's profitable, right? How much? That's a matter of opinion. But in this case, I do feel like maybe the company profits in a higher percentage than they would in a Western company. That's all I'm saying. And the result is each member of One Direction is worth about the same as all the members of BTS combined. That's the result. But you would like to maybe see BTS make more money from all their stuff, is all I'm saying. They always talk about how BTS means X amount to the economy, right?
Yeah.
And of course, when they say that, that includes a bunch of stuff that's not even including just the direct amount of money they make. But let's just look at the direct amount of the money they make. I bet you BTS gets to keep a very, very small percentage of that. I think Big Hit takes a lion's share of it, more than an American company would take from, let's say, Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande, right? Or a Katy Perry. As much as those artists like to complain, I'm thinking specifically about Taylor Swift, their companies take less than Big Hit takes. I bet you. Those artists are richer by a mile. Now, part of that is, of course, that BTS has 7 members, right? So whatever they make, they have to split 7 ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas whatever Taylor Swift makes, she doesn't have to split 7 ways. That makes a big difference. But even that notwithstanding, I feel like they get kind of screwed. Doesn't it seem that way? It seems like they get kind of screwed.
Yeah, as the artists, like the BTS wouldn't be as big as it is if they weren't the ones singing and in all the pictures and in everything. Seems like they should have, like, J-Hope should be worth more than $13 million.
Well, maybe not, but I mean, it does feel like if they were Western artists, they would have a bigger share of the pie. It does feel like that.
Yeah, these, like, I didn't even follow One Direction, but these less famous members, the lowest earning one is still like $60 million.
Yeah,
like,
they're
wow,
all about equal.
That's crazy.
They're all about equal because they're all making their money from One Direction, presumably, right? I don't even know all the members. There's like Harry Styles and Zayn.
I couldn't identify them. I don't know.
I just know them basically by who they date.
But okay, I wonder, how do they have so much net worth? Because I'm sure they don't own their songs. Yeah, they toured, but they didn't, like, I had thought a lot of the money is in songwriting and have your name on the credits there.
A lot of the money's in touring. No, a lot of the money is in touring.
Did they do a lot of touring? I don't remember.
I'm going to guess yes, though, based on their net worth, right?
They must have.
They must have. I mean, that's where the money is, so I'm gonna guess yes. They did a lot of touring. It was profitable. Good on them.
I also think if you are coming from not a rich background, like if you came from a regular background, it's hard to say, oh, I demand that you pay me this much. Like, you can't even think in really big numbers. Like, you probably think, oh, if I can buy this size of a house or this size of an apartment, that's what I want. That's enough. Do you think they have kind of that mentality? Because they all come from, as far as I know, like,
well, do we know?
BTS comes from regular backgrounds.
Yeah, but do we know if One Direction came from similar backgrounds? Probably. They weren't all rich, right? I think it might be just like more of a difference between the cultures and the context of the industries, West and East. How they're structured. Because I don't think like every One Direction person, probably some of them came from humble backgrounds.
Like, there's no way all 5 of them are like, I'm such a business genius, I negotiated this much more. I just think that
people from Western companies tend to get paid more. I just think that's just the tradition of it, right? People from the K-pop world, they're used to getting paid a smaller percentage.
But we always hear about groups where, like, oh, the manager ripped them off, and then the group actually made nothing. And I mean, I guess no one ripped them off, but I guess if you're successful, it's like you're really successful. Everybody profits.
Yeah, nobody ripped off One Direction.
But you always hear about artists being taken advantage of. So I don't think it's necessarily like in the West, it's like, oh, you give, preference to the artist in making, a big percentage.
I don't think that's true. But just the default percentages, I think, are more favorable.
Yeah, and I think if you're successful, then everybody's really successful. Like everybody connected to
Right.
the
Do you hear what I'm
artist.
saying? Like the default percentages are more favorable to the artists.
Yeah.
Whereas the default percentages in Korea are not favorable to the artist. That's all I'm saying. And the only way that the default percentages wouldn't hold is if your company is really shady or something wrong happened, right? Somebody ripped you off, right? But if everybody sort of followed the law, I do think that you would make more money as a Western artist doing your thing. I just think that's just normal, more normal. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying it's normal for Western artists to see more money, see more revenue than Korean artists. People are sending them a lot of money in this tour. And how much of this is BTS getting? I think it's fair to ask.
Maybe we'll see the change in the net worth after this tour ends, and we can see how much filtered down to them.
It's sad in a way that they couldn't be as wealthy as they would have been if they were just American artists. They would be wealthier if they were just purely American art. I guarantee you. Do you have to be sad and broken up about it? No, they're fine. Not gonna die. It's okay, guys.
So are you very familiar with the artist Jay Park?
Kinda.
I only know he's a rapper, and he used to be with JYP.
Yeah.
At some point and broke away from that, or ended his contract. I don't know what it was, but he is signed with Jay-Z at Rock Nation.
Oh, yeah. I was aware of that.
And apparently he's done interviews, and BTS has come up, and he's mentioned how people get him confused with them, and then they expect a certain thing, like a BTS type of sound.
People get him confused with them? That doesn't seem... He's one person.
Well, I think the music...
Group them together as K-pop, right?
Yeah. Especially if he's trying to market himself in America. Not everybody is aware.
Right.
So I guess he's mentioned BTS, and I'm not sure if he has done that in a negative way, like in a shady way, or if ARMY just picked up on these comments and then they're just kind of attacking him just for bringing it up. It's hard to tell what was the intent on that.
Right.
But he had one quote that said, "It's very awkward for me because in Korea, I'm considered too edgy. In America, everybody considers me K-pop, so they think my music is going to be like BTS, so they kind of sleep on my music. And I'm in an awkward space, but I'm the only one in this space."
I can understand that. Because, like, when you think about it, when people look at him here, they're probably like, oh, you're a Korean artist? That's like BTS. You know, that's just the thing that's the top of their minds, right? So they just sort of lump them together. I could see that, you know. And of course, just because you're Korean doesn't mean you're like BTS or you're related to them in any way.
Yeah.
So I could see how that could be a difficult friction for him. Yep.
That would be frustrating.
Yeah.
And I think the way some ARMY was looking at it was like he's blaming BTS for this, but it's like, who's at fault, really?
Yeah, I don't think he's blaming BTS. I think it's just the circumstance, right?
I mean, that's the way he worded it, but it's kind of like he can't say, "Oh, my company sucks,"
I don't think
putting me out there.
Yeah, I don't think he's blaming BTS. I think it's just the reality of the situation. Did he say it's I hate BTS or it's BTS? No, right? He didn't say that. He just said it's kind of the circumstance that he exists in.
Maybe whatever he said initially wasn't that bad, but it just kind of escalated because he said some things in an interview that mentioned BTS, and then probably on Twitter a lot of people like came at him.
Right.
And then he had some more tweets that kind of made it a little bit worse, but it's like all reacting to other things. Like,
right. Well, yeah. I mean, that stuff happens on Twitter.
And then he's kind of saying like what BTS did for hip hop, what Jay Park has done for K-hip hop, what Bong Joon-ho did for Korean film. It's like, I wouldn't say that's all equal, but
right.
I guess he's trying to say.
To compare all of the. Now, I understand there are some people who said, hey, it's not even comparable or whatever, because obviously BTS has done more for K-pop than he's done for whatever K-hip, whatever he thinks, right? And Bong Joon-ho has done more for Korean film. But the thing is, it's like, what? what does it matter, right? Did he say something that is like the scale of it is not correct? Yeah, sure, but who does it hurt? It's just let him say that. That's whatever. Is it 100% accurate? No. But is it malicious or anything, or is it harmful? No. Also no, right? So let him say that. You get his meaning, right? He's basically saying I'm the Korean hip hop person, whereas they're the film and the K-pop. Like BTS isn't harmed by him sort of overstating his importance, right? Bong Joon-ho is not harmed by him overstating his importance. No. So can you just leave it? Yeah, you could probably just leave it.
I think part of it too is like Koreans look at their artists and they like people that are humble. So they think BTS is humble and Bong Joon-ho is humble, but a rapper is gonna be like, I'm the greatest, I'm this and that, and like that's just part of like what a rapper
also,
does.
Also, Jay Park isn't that Korean, is he? Isn't he? Was he born in North America?
I don't know.
I think he's more North American than a lot of Korean artists. It might be part of it.
But I'm just saying people think maybe he is being too overconfident and they don't like that part of it. And it's like, okay, BTS being successful, that means everybody who doesn't know all of the Korean music scene is going to compare anyone else to BTS. Well, that's just going to be how it is. And there has to be a super big artist in Korean hip hop for that to be its own thing. And then you're compared to that. But he probably wouldn't like that either. If there was like a right. Korean like Kanye West or something, it's like, oh, Jay Park, you're just like that guy.
Right.
Like, I mean, no one wants to be compared to anybody else.
Right.
It's just what people look at. And it's like, this is what I think you're like.
Right.
So, I mean, in a way, I think he was kind of being too sensitive. But in another way, I think just the fans are just being vicious. And like everybody's going after everybody else. And it's on Twitter. And
right.
Everybody
I think it's okay.
Can just chill out.
Right. I think it's fine. I don't think he was being too
think if he wants to avoid all more negativity, he should not mention them a whole lot. Like he had like a rap where it was like, Army's not going to hurt me or something like that. And it's like, okay, that kind of thing. Maybe you shouldn't say that because that's just like antagonizing people.
Well, I mean, at this point, it's he's getting attention though, right? It's probably what he wants, right? It's probably intentional at this point. So, well, give it to him. It's probably what he wants.
And I feel like whatever is happening in his career that he might not be satisfied with, this is Jay-Z's fault. Like he needs to like do better, like promote him more. Like I don't even know his songs really. Like if I can't name a song, it's like it's your company that's
you're
not
signed with them.
Yeah. We should be hearing more about that if that's the case.
Right.
And like Jay-Z supposedly has such a big company and respected company, but I don't see that they're doing a lot for Jay Park.
Well, they should. They should catch on to this Korean wave. Somebody contact Jay-Z. Let him know. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he's not paying attention. He might not be. He's just, at this point, he's just a rich executive.
Yeah,
right?
He's just signing deals. Like, yes, I will sign with the NFL. Right. Give me some money. And maybe he's not in the trenches of like developing artists still.
If
you
told him that Korean pop music is like a big new thing, maybe Jay-Z doesn't even know. Maybe he doesn't even realize it. Possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, well.
I think there's room for everybody, like Jay Park, BTS.
But I mean, the fact that he is signed with Jay-Z, he can't really be harmed by quote-unquote Korean netizens too much. Say what you want, Jay Park. Go ahead.
Maybe he's looking at this as kind of like a rapper thing. You know how they're always having beefs with each other?
True.
Maybe he's looking at it like that. Like, oh, even if it's not super genuine, we'll just start.
My final thought is Jay Park, do your thing. If it's causing controversy, it's good for your rap career, go ahead. I have nothing against Jay Park. It's
like maybe BTS doesn't even care. They're just like...
I doubt they care.
Maybe they're like actually friends with him and they're just like, whatever. Just say whatever you want to say.
I seriously doubt they care.
Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. New episodes weekly. Please comment, review, or rate in the podcast platform you're using. Follow us on Twitter @OurBTS. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.